I want to speak about work ethics and stewardship, and what I'm starting with this morning is the topic that I feel should open. I have many others, and because of time, I've kind of reduced and compressed them, and I'm going to be a little bit faster than usual, but I will ask you to write down, because there are certain things I'll be quoting, and you may not be able to remember them. However, I have also asked my PA to go and print out a whole outline of all that I'm sharing, so that at the end of the day today, you can be able to have that booklet, complete the whole of my sharing today. So you'll be coming in shortly, just going to print it out, and then it will be here. Now, in order to transform a nation, transform a sector like health, transform a society, there are 4 steps that are very, very important. First and foremost, you must have a right theory about that sector. I'm coming from the religious background, and therefore, and later on, as you will appreciate, it's very important the theoretical background that you have. Because it determines your philosophy of life, thereafter it will determine the political and economic ideology, and then the policies you form and laws. This one you come to understand later, because I'll explain it a little bit more. So when I talk about work, the work ethics, I come from the theoretical background. It must have a right theoretical background. It must be in line with the scriptures as a believer, and even you, all of us here, because it will determine our philosophy of life, the way we work, the way we speak. It's very, very important. That's why I want to, in the first few minutes, to start with the theoretical background of work and the work ethics. That is where everything starts. There are laws in the Bible which are timeless. These laws are in the scriptures, even in the Quran. I'm not an authority in the Quran because I'm not a Muslim, but if we have our Muslim brothers here, I'm sure you have corresponding scripture references that would supplement what I'm saying. In the Bible, there are laws which don't change with time. They are referred to as the ordinances of heaven and earth. Laws like gravity, they don't segregate whether you're Christian or not, whether you're Muslim or not, whether you're Roman Catholic. The law of gravity does not even care who is the minister, who is the office messenger, who is the director, who is the commissioner, whether I'm a person, whether a bishop, whether even the Pope. If you walk on the air and you step in the air, you fall down. And people say that the Pope has fallen because the gravity doesn't recognize the Pope, doesn't recognize His Excellency the President. These are laws that affect us in the same way. What I'm going to be sharing are those laws about work which affect us in the same way without segregating who you are, irrespective of the position you hold in the Ministry of Health, irrespective of what you do. These and many other laws are like that. The law of rotation, the law of reproduction, the law of sowing and reaping, Newton's laws of motion, the laws of demand, and so on. These are the laws that govern the universe. As long as this earth continues, these laws continue. We are sure every day that the sun will come up, will rise every morning, because God has set it in motion and it cannot fail. If gravity fails, the sun will fail, the moon will fail, and so these laws continue without interruption, and they've been here and they will continue to be here. Now, the first law about work, and the theoretical part of it, is that work was ordained by God, our Creator. God created us as human beings and ordained that we should work. He himself worked 6 days and rested 1. So you can see the proportion of rest to work. 6 days you work, 1 day you do what? You rest. Now, our inclination is that we rest 6 days, we work 1 day. God works 6 days and rest what? 1 day. Rest should always follow work. And God expects us to work. And when He created Adam, He put him in the garden to work it. So there was this whole creation, but then He formed the garden so that man can have somewhere to work. So the garden was specifically prepared for man to work. So work was ordained by God. Number two, work is the means by which man exercises his dominion over nature. This is the only way man can exercise dominion over nature. Let me first put it this way. How are we different from other animals? How are we different from lions, elephants, these big animals? The difference we have with them is that we have a mandate from God to rule them. God said, let us make man in our image that he may rule over all creation. That mandate gives us authority over all of them. A lion is much stronger than a human being. An elephant, huge, but we have power. He put fear of man in those animals. Every time they see man, they run away. Because it is God-given. You don't just make it. Now, political theorists always say what made man is because at some time we were monkeys, then we started to walk on our, two limbs. Then afterwards we invented fire. Then when we invented fire, it became more superior. That's not true. I know I'm talking to science here who have believed in evolution, and I know many of you sometimes believe in it, but we were created directly by God as human beings. That's why no amount of evolution will ever make an animal speak, will ever make a monkey speak like we speak. That is something uniquely human. God made us in His own image. We are free moral agents, we make choices, we have a conscience to know what is right, what is wrong. A lion doesn't. An elephant doesn't. An ape doesn't. They can be poised to tell what is good and what to do. They can tell when they are stealing and run away. But they do that by instinct. The difference with the human being is that God gave us the ability to work the garden. And through that work, we are going to exercise dominion over the whole of nature. It is through that work that we can sit here while it is hot outside and it is cold here. Animals, lions have been here thousands of years. They have never even invented a hat. They can't even invent a safety pin. They keep chasing the cobras and the terps and they eat them, and after they eat them, the next they have to do the same. And they can never invent anything. They don't have that power to exercise dominion. And that's how we are different. Human beings have been here, they have developed all this. Look at all that we're looking at. All this came by work. Somebody put a lot of work to invent a bulb. That was Thomas Edison. He made 1,000 experiments to invent a bulb. 1,000. He was asked afterwards, don't you regret that you had to do 999 experiments before coming up with a bulb? He said, no, I don't regret it. I know 999 times in which you don't make a bulb, and only one in which you make what? A bulb. Hard work is what produced that. When God ordained man and gave him work to do, He wanted him to exercise dominion over nature. Meaning, when it is raining, we have a cover. When it is cold, we put on a heater. It was work that produced all that. It is work that we, human beings, exercise and harness nature, unlike animals. And so, our attitude about work is important. Mine was wrong. When I was growing up, every time you were doing something, you had done something wrong, you had to be given work to do. So we looked at work in a bad attitude for many, many years. I didn't want to work because we were meant to work every time you made a mistake, especially digging. So we have to go and dig. Some of you grew up in the city. For us, we grew up in the village. Because we grew up in the village, the punishment was always what? Digging. Who is like me, who grew up in that kind of environment, where every time the punishment was digging. So I'm sure you will struggle with the same attitude like me, that digging is very bad because it was always a what? A punishment. And believe you me, the attitude that children grow up with continue to affect their lives unless they are totally changed. So many people who come to office to work have been shaped by these bad and negative attitudes towards work. And the work is looked at as a necessary evil. So I have to work. Now, when you go to work with that attitude, you don't get the blessing of it. You cannot perform to your best because you see it as a necessary and the necessary evil. Now, work turns earth's raw material into finished product for man's benefit. It means when you work, this earth was given to us in the raw material, so you turn its raw material into finished products. Look at the projector here. Look at the computers we're using. The same sand we used to build, and we take a whole lot of sand, Magurukumi. Somebody in the Silicon Valley in the United States takes a few pieces of that same sand and makes a computer. With those few pieces of sand, quantities of sand, he gets much more money than Magurukumi. Magurukumi is about what? 1 million? How much? How much is Magurukumi? A trip of Magurukumi is how much? 400,000. Now you imagine a computer. Some computers are 3 million or more. The same sand. When you have big quantities and you've not put a lot of work on it, you get only 400,000. With a handful of it, with much work and thinking, you get millions. That's what work does, taking the raw material, the earth from its raw material form, into its finished product, and you create wealth. And that's what God gave to us. That's the mandate that we have. That's what work means to us. Work was not cast. It was the ground that was cast. So, besides the moral aspect, there was an ecological effect at the fall when Adam sinned against God. Work was also affected. And there was an ecological effect because the ground was not going to produce it in simply as it was before. It produced another vegetation that was not part of the original vegetation. God said, from now, thorns and thistles, the earth will produce. That was not part of the original, original creation. So this ecological effect on the earth came because of our fall. And it has affected work ever since. And I'm going to show you a little bit more of that. Now the curse on the ground turns work into toil. There's a difference between hard work and toil. Toil is the mindless, repetitive drudgery and dehumanizing labor that does not include creative imagination. Human beings are not supposed to be like horses and ox. During the Reformation, the people started to think seriously about this. They made a distinction between work and toil. We are not to toil, we are to work hard. But toil is dehumanizing because you keep doing repetitively what a horse can do, what a machine can do. When you don't think and when you're not hardworking and you don't put your mind in, that's what you end up doing. When I was growing up, we had to walk 3.5 miles to fetch water, 1 jerrycan of water, 3.5 miles going, 3.5 miles coming back, and you at the water place you line up. So literally you will take about 3 hours to go and come back. So to get a second jerrycan you need another 3 hours. And every day we had to collect 2 jerrycans at least at home. Think about 6 hours of just collecting 2 jerrycans for 6 hours. And 6 hours is a quarter of the day. And many of my people in the same village still do that. A quarter of the day, just collecting water. If you spend 8 years on earth, and you have about 60 or more, about 60 active years of your life, and God asks you how did you spend your life, and a quarter of it was spent drinking water. Can you imagine? Out of your 68, 70 years, 80 years, quarter of it was spent carrying water. 20 years on earth, just fetching water. That's why they came up with what they call technology. I was going to say something about that. So when the ground was cast, then it resulted into toil, man doing what is not supposed to do, repetitive drudgery, repeating the same thing which a horse can do, which wind can do. Wind can blow the water from the bottom to the top. A windmill, why should a human being keep doing that? That is toil and that is a curse. But when man starts to think and starts to work, then technology was developed in the monasteries to save man from this dehumanizing labor. And this is a very important theological background which birthed technology. I want to say something about that curse of toil on the land. That God also handled that one. I told you that I want to start with the theological background. Don't be wary, because very soon we move from it into the practical. But the theological is very important as a foundation. What did God do for us about that? First, remember, man was put in the Garden of Eden. And when he sinned against God, everything went bad. But when Jesus was sent, he sent a fellow human being, God himself putting on flesh, came as a human being who handled this curse, handled this problem, which was rooted in the garden. That's why Jesus himself ended up in what? In the garden. His final work was in the garden of Gethsemane. Can you pronounce it? Garden of? Now, when man sinned, God told him, from today you have to sweat to eat. Out of the sweat of your blood you shall eat. When Jesus was in the garden, his blood, which was the method, what God was going to use to break every curse that came because of Adam, the instrument God was going to use was the blood. So the blood was mixed with what? The sweat of his brothers, which came in the garden. That's why this sweat was particularly mentioned in the Bible, because the blood was the instrument of breaking all these curses. The fertile ground, which was in the garden, was afflicted, and it was no longer fertile. One had to work, put in a lot, and get very little. Jesus' blood had to drop on the what? On the ground, because the blood had to break that curse on the ground. Another vegetation of thorns and thistles came because of the fall. It was not part of the original creation. The Roman soldiers, without even knowing what they were doing, made a what? A crown of thorns. Do you remember that they made a crown of thorns? They didn't know what they were doing, but God knew. So they made a crown of thorns, pushed it hard on his skull, broke the skin, and the thorns touched the blood. That was intended to break the what? As a symbol that the curse of that thorns and the thistles was being what? Broken. Finally, man lost dominion, as I earlier said. He was no longer as powerful as he used to be before the fall. Man could tell these birds, you are shouting so much, that before the fall he had that kind of authority. Now animals chase us and eat us. Before that there was a fear of man on all those animals, lions, leopards, but because of the fall now they chase us and eat us and we shout. Well, Jesus, as was a man, he came and he carried the cross in the central business district of Jerusalem. He carried the cross and his blood was being sprinkled in the marketplace. What we call the marketplace is the dominion that you're doing, doing business, hear what you're doing, we call that the marketplace. The generic word we use is the marketplace. So Jesus' blood was shed in the marketplace, right in the central business district, meaning all our work, including businesses, has been what? Redeemed. So that curse has been dealt with. The other curse is dealt with the curse of poverty. And I want us to read this verse together because it's very important. Can we read this together? Because you did not serve the Lord your God with joy and gladness of heart, for the abundance of everything. Therefore, you shall serve your enemies whom the Lord will send against you, in hunger, in thirst, in nakedness, and in need of everything. And you put a yoke of iron. Now, I want you to first look at the blessing here. The way to get God's abundance in life is a principle. You work with joy and gladness at everything that you touch. Whenever you get into work, be joyful, be happy. Be happy, as if you are doing the wrong. You are in Ministry of Health. Maybe you are serving government, but the principle to get abundance, to be prosperous, is hard work. These days we have a lot of people preaching and teaching people not to work. That's not a biblical principle. People have to work very hard in order to get abundance. But not only hard work, you have to do it with joy and gladness. People who come to work every time happy, looking forward to what? They always get promoted and get richer and richer, because that is God's business. The opposite of that, you have a very good translation in Jeremiah. According to so anybody who works without that joy and eagerness, you don't get the blessing. You always look at work as a problem. You always have excuses. And every time they say, you always look for what will not work. Even in a meeting, after the meeting, this is what you're going to do, you look for something that will go wrong. That kind of, people who have that kind of pessimistic attitude, they will never be successful in life. You look at, I'm sure you don't have any here, do you? No. So, but people who are always negative. Do you remember people in your department who are always negative? Every time you come up with a strategy that will work, they will always look for one thing that will not work. They always look for one thing that may be difficult. In this world, as long as sin is there and the curse has affected us, there will be hardships. But we are supposed to be optimistic. We must always have the positive attitude about life. If you are always, if you fill your mind with that negative attitude of failure, you will always fail. Because what you feel in your mind is what you get. What you spoke yesterday is what you are today. What you spoke last month is what you are this month. What you feel in your mind last year is what you are this year. People always pessimistic are failures in life. They never become great. Great leaders always surmount these problems which are insurmountable. But because they are optimistic, they will always overcome, because that is the power to have dominion over the earth. That's the power God gave man, to have dominion, to excel. You have problems, you have challenges, you face them with a positive attitude. I know that it's this and this and this, but there are also these opportunities. People who become successful in life, those great business people, Karim Yusuf, the owner of this, I'm sure if you were to sit with him, he will tell you how many problems he had to fight, to overcome. So this is a very important principle. Even at work, it starts in the place where you work. Don't look at the negatives. Don't look at the negative. Always look at the opportunities that are possible. And that is the secret of life. This is what God is saying here. That because you did not serve the Lord your God with joy and gladness of heart, resulting in the abundance of everything, the opposite will happen. Yeah? You serve your what? Failure it doesn't come from God. Poverty doesn't come from God. All these are our enemies. Look at the four words I've underlined. Can you read them? Hunger, thirst, nakedness, and need of. When you combine those four, you have the poverty curse. Let's repeat them. Do you remember somebody in your village who has all those four? Now, how did God handle that poverty curse? You know, this for hunger, thirst, nakedness, and need of all things. When Jesus came, he also handled that. He didn't only handle the curse in the garden, but he also handled this which you call the curse of the law. He took it away. He handled it. How did he handle it? He was hungry. He had not eaten. He was arrested in the evening, crucified at 9 o'clock. So the whole night, he had not eaten anything. He was also thirsty. One of the last 7 declarations he made on the cross was, I thirst. Number 3, he was naked. It's a fact of history that the Romans always stripped naked their victims whom they crucified. So Jesus was totally naked. He didn't have this small thing that you see when they make pictures of him on the cross. They were not there. He was totally naked. They intended to inflict as much pain as possible, both physical and psychological, so that the victim would suffer. So that's what they used to do. So he was totally naked. His clothes were put in 4 because in those days, men used to put on 4 pieces. These days it's very difficult to count. I don't know how many pieces men will have put on. For women, we don't even bother to count, but for men, we have a standard number of pieces of clothes we put on these days. How many? 3. For women, 10. Okay. All right. So for men, the Bible, the discreet way in which the Bible wanted to show that all of them were removed, says they were put in 4 and they cast clothes on his clothes. Women who came with him from Galilee stood afar off because they didn't want to make him feel ashamed. That was the reason. It wasn't that they feared the soldiers. But his mother came near. He was there, right there. But the other women, he was there hero. They didn't want to make him feel ashamed. So he endured the cross, despising the shame, and was in need of all things. He had no house, he had no companion, even his disciples denied him, and was buried in a borrowed robe and a borrowed tomb. He had nothing to live for his mother. In the Hebrew culture, the firstborn always looked after his widowed mother and unmarried sisters. Joseph had earlier died, and Jesus, hanging on the cross and looking at his mother, realized he had a responsibility to look at his widowed mother, but he has nothing. So he said, "Mother, there is your son. John, there is your mother." So the next verse says, "From that day, John took Jesus to his own. So that day, John took Mary to his own house and looked after her." Because they understood what he was saying. They have nothing. I'm totally finished. Why did he have to go all this, through all this? Because, let's read this together. For you know. Now tell your neighbor, you have no excuse now to remain poor. You must be rich. So you can see this one is for everybody. It was Jesus who first launched Bonabagawale. So you can see this is his launch. He launched it on the what? On the cross. When he was totally stripped naked, he took all those four so that he takes the poverty, so that for your sake, for its sake, you may become much rich. So God wants you rich and abundant in everything. Poverty doesn't come from God. Poverty comes from what? From Satan. Remember, the theological mind that you have is important. If you think for me I'm poor, this is what God wants me to know. God doesn't want anybody poor, including you. Please repeat that. God doesn't want anybody poor, including you. Now, very quickly, I want to show you, since you're scientists, I want to show you how this theological background really changed Europe, changed one of these nations that espoused this theology, and how it resulted into technology, how it resulted into the many things that we are using. It came from this theological background. When people started to look at the scriptures that way, lives changed 500 years ago. Let me go through them very quickly. It is the theology that birthed technology, came from the right attitude about work, about nature, about observation. Observation is what you call experiments and what you do as doctors. This was all birthed from that perspective. Look at this. At the fall, man lost his authority over nature, turning work into what? Toil. The Bible distinguishes between work and toil. To work is to be like God, who is a worker. God is not a dreamer. God is a what? A worker. But toil is a curse upon human sin. The theological distinction enabled Christian monks in monasteries to realize that human beings should not do what wind, horse, or water would do. Why should man? If man does that, it is dehumanizing. We must come up with faster ways of doing it. The gospel means good news. It means that the Savior took our sin, its punishment, and its consequences, including the curse of toil. So creative reason should be used to liberate human beings from the curse of toil. Human beings should not be like horses and ox. If you buy an ox, it will do work every day like that until it dies. Human beings shouldn't be like that. Human beings, if you do that, it is dehumanizing. When corruption invaded the church, pagan ideas against work entered. Some godly priests ran to the monasteries. Technology developed in monasteries as a result of combining work and the mind. Some people started to bring wrong attitudes about work. Paul preached this way. If you don't work, you should not eat. That was the principle. Hindu monks, for instance, they don't work. Priests, the Hindu priests or monks, they don't work. They believe in what? Begging. They just beg. When you go to those countries, they don't work. In the monasteries, Because these monks did not marry, they could not marry a third or fourth wife so that they can get work. In the village where I grew up, every man who wanted more workforce would cross over to Usoga and marry another wife, a third wife, a fourth or fifth, and each one has to produce 10 sacks of what? Of coffee every year. Have you heard of that? So every woman had to dig and look after coffee, and this was what Europe was 500 years ago. You have to work, and at the end, when you harvest, it's the husband who gets the money. Now, monks didn't have that luxury of marrying a wife to look after them, so they had to work for themselves. They had to cook, they had to clean, they had to fetch water. So because they were theologians, they had to think, but they also had to work. When you combine the two, work and mind, what do you get? When you combine work and mind, what happens? You get employment. Before that, those who cultivated their mind did not use their hands. Those who used their hands to work were not cultivating their mind. That's the Greek background. But when work is combined with the mind, like you people, very educated, your mind is right. If you combine the two, you get technology. That's how technology was born. Combining work and the what? And the mind. When you are combining, that's how technology was born. Now, where was I? Buddhist monks don't work, while these Christian monks were required to work. So they had to invent technology. Victor in 1120 taught that because we have a defective mind, we need to study theory. Because we have a defective morals, we need to study ethics. Because we have defective bodies, we do what? We need technology to supplement the weaknesses of our physical body. This was a very, very important change, the turning point. We need technology to supplement, because our bodies after the fall became weaker, we live less years. Now we need technology to fast forward everything that we do. Francis Bacon in his book said that man fell from both his state of innocence and from his dominion over creation. In this life, both of these losses can be made good. The first one is by religion and faith. The second one, that is dominion, is by technical arts and science. Now, there are people in religion, even today, they think everything is just faith and what? Religion. When they don't combine work, that's not a complete gospel. The complete gospel is that you should believe, but you should also what? Through what technology is what? Developed. And this is the balanced way. This is how technology was born. Western technology derived from the rediscovery of the biblical theory of work. Technology developed as an aspect of the biblical understanding that God wanted to save man from all this dehumanizing labor, from all this toil, so that man is restored to his dignity. Human beings should have dignity. They should not be fast, somebody carrying kilos of what? You see them in the tax park. No, that is dehumanizing. God wants man's dignity restored, and that was the purpose of salvation. And they looked at it that way. The Bible birthed technology in monasteries. The Reformation took it out and gave it to everybody. That made available to the world God's gracious gift of salvation, including salvation from the curse of toil through technology. One of the Protestant major contributions to the world was the culture of the dignity of labor. All types of jobs are respected equally, and no occupation should be considered superior. In those days, we the clergy, our work was called sacred. You, people will call the people in the marketplace, will call your work secular, and this one sacred. They say no, there is no such distinction. God honors a fisherman the same way he honors me, the pastor who stands behind the pulpit. This brought tremendous change. People started to work very hard because they understood that God is with me in the carpentry as He is with me in church. God is with me when I'm in a tannery working on skins, as He is with me in the church. In fact, in Holland, they close the churches on Sunday evening and say, now that we have understood that God is with us all the time in our places of work, You don't need to come here to meet God. God is with you where you're working. So you come back on Sunday morning. So the whole day, those people started to work. They started to understand Jesus is standing behind me here when I'm working. God is with me here when I'm fishing. God is with me in the garden. And that's how they started mass production. They started excellence. If you're a carpenter, you have to do everything as unto the Lord, to the glory of God. So that means whatever I do, I must do it with excellence. That's how mass production and industrial revolution developed, with that work ethics. And all nations in Europe that embraced this theory became very successful. You find those nations, Germany, Scandinavia, and all those countries that embraced the Reformation with this attitude. Those are the nations that are rich. Those which were rich at that time but did not embrace that theory remained poor. Yet at that time they were the leading ones. Spain is one of them. Greece is another one. Cyprus, Italy, those countries remained backward. Well, the others which embraced this work ethic started to change until now. They're the most progressive. So this is a very, very important theological change. Now, number 5, work is sowing. When you work, you are sowing. It means you're going to work to reap. If you don't work, you don't work to reap. In everything you do by the way. In this life, if you are always good to other people, good will be given to you. If you are always kind to other people, people will be kind to you. It's a law which governs the universe. As long as the earth continues, seed time and harvest shall not cease. You always are sowing. Even the words you speak, you are sowing. So your words are like the seeds you are throwing ahead of you. So you find them, they have grown. So what you are going through are many of the words that you've spoken. You speak negative words about yourself, about your children, you reap them. Everything we do here is there's a lot of sowing and what? Reaping. If you cause pain, you are in charge of a big budget. It is your department that is supposed to eradicate a disease. You have power to remove that pain from the people, and you don't do it. You've sown. Families will suffer and cry. Children, people will die. Every tear that is shed, you've sown it. Now those tears will be reaped. Your people, your children, and your children, and children's children after you. The Bible says, to the third and what? Fourth generation. Whenever it is in your power to help, to bring joy to somebody, an old woman who cannot even pay you, but she says, those prayers God hears. People are always talking good about you. They're saying, come and sing. I don't have money, but I pray that God, those tears, if you leave a trail of those blessings, even if you don't reap them during your lifetime, all of them, your children will reap. Your grandchildren. To the third and fourth generation and beyond. That is a very, very, very important principle. That we sow and do what? And reap. Don't cause pain when you should. You are in charge. And you control, because you're in the office, sometimes you don't see the impact you have on the whole society. But you, especially in the place of health, you have so much power to cause joy to us, citizens. And your power is sometimes just a pain. You get a pain for a whole month when you should have done what? Signed a long time ago. And in the meantime, thousands are what? Dying. Thousands are in pain. Thousands are dying. Families are waiting. All that comes back in your lap, on your account. So what we do here on earth, we are sowing. And we reap. So when you see people sometimes who are, you sit here in the East African Revival, the people who are ruling us today, their parents were in the East African Revival. Some of them don't even know God. They don't even need people. But when you go back to their lives, you find these are children of people who served God. Maybe it was a reverend, maybe it was an old woman who had nothing but served God in the church, in what. When you look at their children, you always see them very prosperous, even if you did. One example is his father died on the pulpit in the Bible preaching. He was a baby. Now, knowledge. They may even do wrong things. But you see, God, in His justice, make sure that the good things that you've done, if you've not reaped them in life, it's like gets a file and say, this woman here who served me, do I have anybody here who can bless because of it? And say, yeah, you were survived by only 2 children. Those children now take the blessings of what? Of what their mother or grandmother did. That's how you see those people, their children and children's children become prosperous. There are some people who are suffering because of the previous what? Action of their parents, of their relatives. If you come from a family where you were like dancers, God forbid, if you come from Chaco, anybody coming from Chaco, don't play but Chaco is where they're like dancers. You know that in this 21st century, there are people who are still like dancing in the night, totally naked. Yes. I say, I know, it's not the culture. Giving somebody and strips naked and that is the community. And then they eat people. Now, if your family is that, every time you stand up, you know, you look at the Bible. In the Bible, David was a good man. Suleiman, I think you should have Suleiman in Quran. Suleiman was a son of David. He wasn't a very good man. But every time God wanted to punish Solomon, he remembered his servant David. And he said, oh, Lord Solomon has annoyed me so much. Because of my servant David, I will hold my will. You see that? Because of my servant David. And so God blessed Solomon for 40 years of his reign because of his father David. The same with Isaac, is Jacob because of Abraham. So this thing happened. So when I was listening to John Hagee, he said, for me, I'm number 9 in our line. We are all fathers, missionaries, preachers, serving God and missionaries. So for that person, when he stands up and says, Lord, the God of my father, God remembers, yes, my servant Hagee of the 50th generation ago. Yeah? God answers very good. But you, if you are coming from Hebrew, yeah? All your fathers and great-grandfathers and great-grandfathers, all 80 dead bodies, they bewitched everyone in the village. Every dead body in the village, it was all eaten. There's no single dead body because of your father. He answered up and said, Lord, in the God of my father. The moment you said that, a naked evil will come and say, yes, I was the God of your father. So, that's why sowing and reaping is very important. So what we do now affects our children. Our generation affects the next generation. That's a principle in the Bible. Some people don't want to listen to it, but it's a law of sowing and reaping. Work brings physical strength. I'm going to rush through this very quickly. Psychological, it's a source of satisfaction. Every time you work at something hard and you accomplish it, it brings satisfaction inside. Even God, the first day said it is good. The second day is good. The third day, the fourth day, the fifth day. On the last day, he said it was very good. That is what he wants us to do. After you have worked at a project, you put in time, prayer, commitment, and then you feel so good. That is part and parcel of the true joy. People who are lazy, they never have that. They are always dull. They are always whining. Their faces are warm. They just, I love this or that. Work sustains your life. There is a good illustration in the Bible. Aaron and Moses were serving. And so the time had come for Aaron to die. God told Moses, take him to the mountain in his full attire as the high priest. And he said, take piece by piece from him to his son Eliezer, who is going to be priest after him. So the Bible says, as soon as all his attires were finished, Aaron fell dead. One time I was reading that passage and I got a revelation that when your work on earth ceases, you start to what? To die. Your work is sustained by your life here on earth is sustained by your work. That's why when people retire early and just sit at home, they start what? Have you noticed that? Yes, they start to die because work gives you life. You come every morning, you feel you are satisfied, you are causing, you feel good about that work. If they terminate you today or tomorrow, and you go back and sit at work, you will see how fast you've done. The red hair will start to grow. Wrinkles will start to grow, even if you're such a beautiful woman. Wrinkles will begin to start. Because inside you something that releases life as seed. Work is a source of life. It's a legitimate means of creating wealth. Any other wealth created otherwise is illegitimate. It creates profits, brings promotion and honor. It's a source of sustenance. This was obvious, and I went to the last part, which actually is part of your area. How we look at nature. Look at the difference here. Medieval paganism believed that the world was inhabited by spirits. So to do anything, you had to get permission from these spirits by sacrificing and appeasing those spirits. This belief still affects much over us in Africa because of witchcraft. If we have to do a dam, the people there will raise a lot of dust. Did you hear that? When we were going to build a dam in Vujagari, there was a lot of dust raised by the people. Go to the court of Vujagari, there is a lot of this, and then the government had to get money to give them and say, okay, you go and appease your what? Your spirits. So this was the belief. Now when you start to worship nature, instead of exercising authority over them, over nature, who becomes greater? What you worship takes authority over you. So every time they would say big stone, God is doing there. Every time they say big tree, they don't understand, they say, well, this is the time to worship a tree. That has affected us in Africa so much. Even when we get educated, you see people still have a lot of fear for this. So a python is not killed because you cannot build a road here because of the Gugonian sound. This is the. Have you heard of that kind of thing? When you worship nature, you cannot exercise dominion over nature. God created human beings and put him above nature. This was a key turning point in Europe. In Europe, they worship trees. The Germans worship the tree called Thor. So a missionary went there called Bernard. He told them this is not a god. They said, you touch him and you see. He took an axe, started to cut the tree. They thought he was going to fall dead. The tree fell down. He used part of it as fire, and the other part he used it to build the church. All of them turned from worshiping Thor and they started to worship the living God. That's how the Germans turned around. In Britain, they were worshiping Druidism. And many other nations have been like that. When you worship nature, you can't exercise dominion over nature. Yes. Now, the Holy Scriptures teach that man was given dominion to exercise dominion over nature. We should not worship nature, because if you worship nature, you cannot exercise dominion over it. Nature glorifies God, but it is not what? It's not God. The Scripture says, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament show his works, but they are not God. We cannot worship nature. Now, nature does not have a purpose of its own, but only what God and man assigns to it. It is under God, but not inhabited by God. God is not resident in nature. God transcends nature, and man also transcends nature because he was made in the image of God. The relationship between God is that of a painting and a painter. It is not that of a dancer and a dancer. This was a big turning point. That the relationship God has with nature is not that of a dancer and a dancer. If I call you here to dance, and you really enjoy your dance, we can't tell you, go back and sit, let's have your dance remain there. Can you? No. Because the dance and the dancer are one and the what? They are both works of art. Dance and the painting, they are both works of art. We enjoy the work of art when you paint, but the painting is there and you are here. You're separate. While the dance and the dancer cannot be what? Separated. They are both works of art. We enjoy them and we applaud somebody who has done it, but you can separate the dance. Well, you can separate the paint. So they say, this theory was very key. God has created nature. We can worship him by looking at nature, the way we look at a painting. But God is not dwelling there. God is separate, so we should worship him separately and then admire what he has done. Just like a painting. So he doesn't dwell in a dancer. And it's not like a dance which is in what? A dance. That was the theological background. God created nature, he loves and cares for it. We should love what God loves and care for what he cares for. Eh? Look at the third part, which brought science and connected with hard work. They put observation above logic. Aristotle was the only scientist for 1,000 years, for many, many years, 2,000 years. He said if you drop two balls from a cliff, one twice as big as the heavy as the other, the heavier ball will fall twice as fast as the light one. It sounded logical, and for 2,000 years, no one tested this theory until Galileo disproved it on the Leaning Tower of Pisa. He dropped two balls, one heavier, twice heavier than the other, and they both fell at the same speed. Everybody has believed this for 2,000 years. And what is the problem? Francis Bacon, the father of modern science, said that when logic contradicts observation, then the logic must submit to the authority of observation. So Isaac Newton explained that phenomenon by saying that the speed of these objects is not a function of mass, it is not a function of the force. So therefore, the same speed, because it's not about mass, it's about what? The force that pulls them. And that's how science starts to take on a new. People who interpret this, they remain there at that time. The logic, the observation, what you do as experiments, started that time. The single most important factor behind that scientific revolution was when the inductive, literal, and objective method the reformers used in studying the Bible was applied to the studying of nature. They started saying the Bible, we should study it inductively, objectively, literally. So that's the same way we should do study nature. Why? Because God has written two books. The first book is a book of his words. The second book is a book of his works. We should study both equally. You see the difference there? God had written two books. That was the interpretation. The first book is a book of his works. The second book is a book of his works and history. When we study both books, we understand God better. This was the back of the revolution in science. They thought that if God is the author of both, then both have to be studied literally, inductively, and objectively. And this worldview inspired Christian universities to study nature. That's why at the entrance of the world's first scientific laboratory, the Cavendish Laboratory in Cambridge, is inscribed the words of the Psalms of 111, verse 2, which says, "Majestic are the works of the Lord. Those who delight in them, study them." Can we read this together? Majestic. So when you are studying atoms and you are studying human beings, you are studying a book of God. You have not understood. God has written two books. One book is the book of his words, right? What we call the Bible. But another one is the book of his works. So what he has done, the trees, the animals, it's also God who has created them. But also human history. God works through human history. So when you study history, you become a better leader, because that is also part of his work. So they're saying you study both. You study his words, which you get in his Bible, but you also study his works. So when you are in a laboratory, studying some of these infectious diseases, you look at the virus, you're studying his works. Now, some of them started others, but the natural things that he created, the more we understand them, the more we become better people. because we're studying both his word and what? His works. This is what birthed there. Look at this. It is the desire to study the works of God that produced modern science, resulting in what? Technology. Because people started to study God's works. When you look at Isaac Newton, we only know about his scientific work, but he was a student of the Bible. He wrote a whole commentary on the book of Daniel, a whole commentary on the book of Revelation. Most of his time was reading. When they asked him, why do you read the Bible? He said, because when I'm under that anointing, when I'm studying his words, I understand nature better because they are connected. So that's how they produced it. All sciences were like that. Those who are scientists were like that. They studied his word and they studied his nature. So kindly tell your neighbor, if you really want to understand his words, study his words. That's how you understand. That's what you're Okay, I'm continuing. So you're going to become better scientists by studying his work. The neck of the graph. So she has started meditating on the graph now. She says it looks like this crane. So he has started studying what this works. Okay? Now, work is sowing, as I said, and reaping. But look at the other way in which it applies. Can we read this verse together? As long as the earth continues, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. Yeah? This is the law that governs the universe. Do not be, let's read it again together. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Okay? Now I want to dissect that very briefly. There is another, it is repeated in the New Testament. Give and it will be given to you. Can we read together? Give and it will be given. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. It's the same law. It's repeating the same law. When you give, you are given. When you cheat, you are cheated. When you steal, when you are now, so it's the law. It's a law which governs the universe. You can't run away from it and it does not segregate. And that's the one I'm going to talk about here. Now let's read another verse here to understand that law more. 1, 2, 3, go. He who has been stealing must steal no longer, but rather let him work, making an honest living with his own hands, so that he may be able to give to those in need. Now, look at what I have highlighted. 3 points. One is stop stealing. The second one is work. The third one is give. Now, these days you have people who preach only give, skipping the other 2 words. Yes. They come to church and they will preach give. That's not the full gospel. The full gospel is you start by number 2, number 3, give. Okay, so tell your neighbor, if you preach only give, you are preaching half gospel. You must preach the full gospel. So that's the full gospel. Look at this commandment here. Stop stealing is commandment number 8. Commandment number 8 says, thou shalt not steal. So it means when God said you shall not steal, by so doing or saying, he was also ordaining ownership and property. Because you can't steal something which has no owner. Can you? Isn't it? That's what it is. So if you say you shall not steal, in essence he was also ordaining what? Ownership. It means People can work on something and they get ownership. In fact, the whole earth belongs to him. But when you find a stone, it belongs to God. But the moment you start to put work on it, sculpture or what you have done, because you put on work, then that becomes what? That's how God gives property and ownership to human beings. Everywhere you put work, you take ownership. This is the legitimate means of acquiring what? And property. Ownership, in human terms, always has a title. How do you tell somebody owns the land if you're going to buy one? If they have what? Title. In the spirit realm, there is a title for every money that you've worked for. You may not see it, but you have a title for it. If you've worked 1 month, money comes to you. You are entitled to that for which you've worked. And in the spirit realm, you have a title to that money, all the money that you've worked for. That is a very important principle also, it's timeless. So, and that's what I want you to see. If God wants us to stop stealing, the legitimate means to acquire wealth is work. After you've worked, then you what? You give. So that's why when you come to church, we always say, let us now worship God with our tithe and offering. So when you pull the money out of your pocket and you come forward to give, look at this money, and you drop it in the basket. God doesn't look at a piece of paper. He looks at all the work that you've done, out of which you've earned this money. So all that work is represented by the money that you put in the basket. That's why you're worshiping Him with your mind, you're worshiping Him with your strength, you're worshiping Him with your heart, because that's what you feel yourself the whole month. So your money represents all that when you bring. So next time you go to church, almost make sure you go with some money. Tell your neighbor, don't go empty-handed. You have to take some money, because that represents what you're doing. Yes. This one did it better. He said, stop going to church without money. So, next time you go, make sure you take, it's a means of accountability. So when you take money, and they say, now let us give, you are giving accountability what you have been doing the whole month. You are telling God, see what I have done with what you gave me. So it's a form of worship. The original word for work in Hebrew and the original word for worship are one and the same. Avoda. Avoda is the Hebrew word for work, but it's also the word for what? For worship. Adam did not have a church to go and worship. His work was his worship. So tell your neighbor, your work is your worship. So be careful how you do it. So you do it as unto the Lord. When you see work like that, it changes. You no longer look at work as a drudgery, as something that you are tired of. You change, you get to another level. This is what changed Europe. They started to look at work as what? As worship. And it changed. Industry started massive production because they changed their theory about work. Now look at this one. We're going to read this passage of scripture again. Don't get tired, please, of reading. Because when you read it yourself, it sticks better and your heart hears it. 1, 2, 3, go. Servants, obey in everything those who are your earthly masters. Not only when their eyes are on you as pleasures of men, but in simplicity of purpose, with all your heart, because of your reverence for the Lord, and as a sincere expression of your devotion to Him. Whatever may be your task, work at it heartily from the soul, as something done for the Lord and not for men, knowing with all certainty that it is from the Lord and not from men that you receive the inheritance, which is your real reward. The one whom you are actually serving is the Lord. For he who deals wrongfully will reap the fruit of his folly. It's a principle, a godly principle, that you honor your boss, director, missioner, whatever it is, It's a principle that will give you blessing. It's like honoring your father. That's the principle number 5. God gave 10 commandments. The first 4 relate with God. The other 6 relate with your fellow man. The first one on the second tablet is commandment number 5, which says, honor your father and what? Now, why do you honor your father? It's because it's not because he's rich. It's not because he's educated, but because that he has that position. You understand that? That position of a father, the attitude you have towards him, does not depend on who he is. And this is what we're talking about here. It has nothing to do with the education of your supervisor. Not even what he's doing, because he may be doing something wrong. If your father is a night dancer, will he cease to be your father? If he is a thief, will he cease to be your father? If she is a witch, will she cease to be your mother? Are you not supposed to respect her even then? Yes, so those are the principles. In the Bible, those principles cut across. You don't respect them because of what they have done, but because of the position they occupy. The position they occupy requires that respect. And when you respect them, you get a blessing from God. When you dishonor them, you are bringing a curse upon yourself. So it has nothing to do with what they do, how they do it. They may not be doing their work as they should. But God requires that you do what? You honor them. You respect them even when they are doing wrong. Now, it's not condoning wrongdoing, but that's not your responsibility. Let that be between him or her and what? And his God. Yours is to honor them, to serve them, to respect them. Okay? Number 2, be single what? Minded and purposeful. When you come in Ministry of Health, many of you prayed to get this job. I'm sure none of you went to a witch doctor and sacrificed a child to get this job. Hallelujah. I'm sure none of you. So, I'm sure you prayed to God to get a what? A job. Now that you got it, concentrate on that. Put time into that job. Get to know it very well. Because God answered you, now do what you asked him. Now there are people, today they are praying for a job, they get it, but their mind is not here. Every day they are reading newspapers, not because they want to be full of knowledge, but they are looking for greener pastures. All the time they are always reading and looking for greener pastures. They never concentrate. When you came in Ministry of Health, decide that before I leave this, I want to leave a mark in this organization here. I want to have left a mark in this organization. Be purposeful, be single-minded that I'm going to accomplish something. Maybe your time comes and then you have to leave and go somewhere else. But when you're here, let your mind be here. Is that clear? Yes, you see people, every time you meet them, where are you now? Now I'm in Ministry of Health. Where are you now? Now I'm in the World Vision. Where now? Now I'm... So they're always moving. And they're always studying to get another certificate. Not because they want more knowledge, but they want another what? They want their CV to be very big. So that they have all these courses they have done. My wife, he went back to this university and he told me he was sitting with so many of these people there, many of them in their 50s, in university doing another course. And I was saying, but you're not working. He said, for me, I'm just here. When the exams come, I'll get somebody to do for me, because all I want is just a paper so that I can on my, because we have some younger people who have now come in and they're taking our jobs, so I have to come in here and make sure. Now, what is the expression of your devotion to what? You remember what I've said about money? Money represents your what? Your worship, isn't it? And you get money when you work. So, your work is your expression of your devotion to God. Your work is done as unto God, not to men. God is your ultimate employer. Your boss is your immediate supervisor, but God is your ultimate what? For me, when I got this, it liberated me from working for money. I'm telling you, it was such a big revelation when I understood this principle. Everything I should look as a what? Sometimes I help people and they never remember you. After many years, they come back and they start to get blessed. But if you are always annoyed when you help somebody and he's not happy or he's not that good, you whine, you complain. He doesn't do God. You forget it. You didn't do for that person, you did it as what? Whatever you do is as unto God. It will save you from frustration. Complaining about people. There are people who have those songs. They are the ones they like most. God is watching and making your work. God is watching and marking your work. To reward diligence and to do what? That is for it. This is important. He's not only rewarding hard work, but he also punishes what? Folly. That means that every work you do is paid by God. He credits your account justly. He is a just God and he does not cheat. This is a powerful principle, and I'm going to illustrate it shortly. If you are underpaid, he credits your account with the balance. Can you work with God? Thank you very much, Lord. If you are underpaid, he makes sure the other balance is what? On your account. What is credited comes to you in many various ways, and I'm going to show you. Yeah? I'm going to explain that. If you are overpaid, you can't keep or hold what is not yours. As leaders, we have to instill these principles. Now I'm going to illustrate number 7 up to 11, okay? I'm going to illustrate them in a better way, the way you can understand them, and I've put it in simple numbers. Suppose this is your contractual basis. You work for 300,000 a month. And you are supposed to work 30 days a month, meaning your daily pay is what? If you have to work 10 hours a day, it means your hourly pay is what? Now remember, I'm just using simple figures for calculations. I know you don't work. For you doctors, you work 24 hours. Others work 8 hours. For you, but this is just for illustration purposes, okay? If you work for 1,000 shillings per hour, if you arrive 2 hours late, how much have you cheated? If you leave 1 hour early, how much have you cheated? If you spend 2 hours in office on idle talk, WhatsApp, Google, which is not part of the work. So the work. Googling, WhatsApping, Holocausting, a whole 2 hours spent in what? How much have you cheated? So in the day, how much have you cheated? So if you do this every day for 30 days, how much have you cheated? So, at your boss, immediate boss, who pays the PSA? So the PS at the end of the month will not know that the whole 30 days, 2 hours, every day was spent on Holocaust. He doesn't know you spent all the 30 days on and when the boss is not there, you're talking, and when he's coming, you type the computer as if you are breaking it. After the first, you go back to your Holocaust. You are that kind of person. Now, at the end of the month, you still get your 300,000. When actually what you worked for was what? The other 150 you never worked for. But you're still paid the same amount because you can't tell that especially when you are permanent and pensionable. Okay? So half of it you never what? You never worked for. It was all stolen. As far as God is concerned, this is what? Stolen. You don't have a title deed for this money, you only have a title deed for that money. When you have a title for your land, can anybody steal it? If you don't have a title for it, it can be what? Stolen, and somebody can claim it. And because cheating belongs to Satan, he has a right on all that. Stealing, cheating, in the Bible we call it sin. Satan is the sole manufacturer and the distributor of sin. So everywhere you find his goods, he has a right But Satan is the sole manufacturer and distributor of sin. Every time he finds cheating, those are his goods. So he has a right on that money. So the moment it lands on the account, which day does it normally land? 25th or 26th? 25th. And everybody is checking with the bank. WhatsApp me when the money is there. And as soon as you get the WhatsApp, it's now on the WhatsApp. You are so happy, you finish up the you get your handbag, you put it in your you are ready to go or to get the measure. As soon as you get home, you change the clothes to go for dinner or to get the measure. The baby, your baby is very, very sick. Temperatures are rising at once. What is happening? Now you forget the dinner. You rush the baby to the what? To the clinic. You say, hey, this clinic here, you cannot watch. But that one you needed to go to Mulab. As soon as the 150,000 is finished, the child is alive and kicking. Why? Because that money wasn't yours. And the devil knows he has a right over it. It doesn't matter what you do, you lose it. So, look at it. Let us read this together. When you take money you have not worked for, you accumulate debt on your account. A negative corrosion because you have no ownership, no title. So you cannot keep that money. Accidents or unexplainable sicknesses always steal your now if people, especially people who steal in dollars, when you steal big and you steal in dollars, this big amount. So for you, your sicknesses, you get to love and say, hey, this one, you need to go to Aga Khan. Then you get to Aga Khan, after spending a few weeks, you say, hey, this one requires India. So, tell the other Iban, not very loud, but so, and those who steal in dollars, lose it in dollars. So when you steal in documents, you lose it in what? They said this one, India cannot manage. This one in Germany is the one. So, $2. In dollars. So, this is what it is. Funerals, death. As soon as you get your salary, a relative who has not visited you for years comes. The very time when you get your what? Your salary. Gets very sick in your house. And because this is a person you respect, you have to take her to hospital, and when the money you stole is finished, the person gets okay. But if you stole milk, he dies in your house, then you have to transport the body, then the funeral service. And natural disasters befall you, and the insurance refuses to pay you. You are always cheated. Wrong computer posting. Have you seen people whose salaries are always going to somebody else's account? Have you heard of that? Don't look wrong. You buy a piece of land only to find that you spend years and money in court and still lose the what? You buy a problematic car. You are always in the garage every end of the month. Do you know anybody who is always in the garage every end of the month? You start a business and the relative bankrupts you. A young girl you got from the village, you think she's innocent, and she's very smart. But bankrupts your small business. You lend a friend and refuses or fails to pay you. Chronic financial loss or indebtedness. You are always in debt, paying unnecessary interest. You even lose your currency. You have no peace. You are never satisfied. You are not contented. That's why thieves have to keep stealing and stealing and stealing. This is a very serious thing. This is where many of our workers are. The issue is not a minimum wage per se. It's not that I don't agree with the minimum wage, but until we have corrected the work ethics, even if people get that money, because those who get it, who get more than the minimum, are they not stealing? Are they really working? So the real issue is not really the minimum wage. It is the work ethics themselves are very what? In all our workers. So the people find themselves, they never have enough, because even the level they get is stolen. It's taken up from them because they are stealing. Workers are stealing from managers, managers are stealing from the owners, owners are stealing from the workers. That's total stealing in the nation. The nation cannot prosper with that kind of stealing. Nations that have prospered have built on proper work ethics. Look at this unfaithful steward. This one we need to read together. Are you ready? Fasten your seatbelts. Let's read together. 1, 2, 3, go. 3 contractors are bidding to fix a broken fence for a government building. One from Bangladesh, another from India, and the third from China. They go to the building with the government official to examine the fence. The Bangladesh contractor takes out a tape measure and does some measuring. Then works some figures with a pencil. Well, he says, I figure the job will cost $900, $400 for material, $400 for my team, $100 for profit. Chinese contractor also does some measuring and says, I can do the job for $700, $300 for material, $300 for my team, $100 for profit. The Indian contractor does not even measure, but leans over to the government official and whispers, $2,700. The official is incredulous and says, you didn't even measure like the other guys. How did you come up with such a high figure? The Indian contractor whispers back, 1,000 for you, 1,000 for me, and we hire the cheap Chinese to fix the thing. That is the president. That's why you stop on the list. Honorable Sheikh, that's what they say in Ghana. Have you heard of something like that? Yes. Now, is this stealing? Yes, because you are an unfaithful what? Steward. You have been entrusted by resources of the nation, of the ministry, to act in trust. You are acting in what? In trust for others. You are a trustee. You are in charge of the resources. Now you are using that office. And so that is stealing before God. A public servant or employee is a steward of national resources and accountable for the decisions he makes. When you betray a trust, you have allowed negative corrosion on your account. It will catch up with you like a Gehazi in the Bible. Work is the only legitimate means of creating what? Only work, nothing else. A society or nation which only wants to acquire without creating wealth runs into spiritual and later on economic what? Bankruptcy. That is how companies, institutions, empires, civilizations fall. When this corruption continues, a nation fails. Empires, that's how great empires rose and fell. That's how big companies that we have. Do you remember Zimwe? Which I know some of you are using for your relatives, but you know, when you build an empire on wrong what? Foundation. As soon as he died, the whole empire did what? Collapse. This is how most of our companies are. Because they're built on that what? You have to do. Of course, one of them is lack of a managerial leadership and administrative skills, but much of it has to do with this cheating. I hear doing roads, they are supposed to be some layers, and then the layers are shared between the engineer and that kind of thing. Wealth gotten by vanity, let's read this together. Wealth gotten by vanity shall be, but he that gathers by labor or work shall increase. Now look at another worker now who is faithful with the same contractual basis, but he arrives at the place of work earlier, 2 hours, because he wants to beat a deadline. He wants to clear the desk. He comes 2 hours early, leaves 1 hour late. He's not even paid the, how do you call it, overtime? 2 hours worth of extra work even over weekend because you want to beat a deadline, you want to clear your desk. Every day there is some more time that you're putting in your what? Your work. Total 5 hours every day or more. And at the end of the month, you have accumulated a credit. Yet they still pay you the same salary like everybody who is lazy and lousy. Yet what you worked for was 450, they only paid you 300. What happens to the 150? God credits it on your what? In your account every month, every extra work, because God does not cheat. He's a just God. Can you go to him again and say thank God? Because you don't cheat. People can cheat you, but God doesn't. Remember, he's your ultimate employer. So he makes sure he pays you right. Your payment should be commensurate with your level. When you work faithfully, you accumulate credit on your account because you have ownership and title to that money. It comes to you in many ways, sometimes directly, other times indirectly. You buy a piece of land at an unbelievable price and it does not put you on pressure. An old woman in the village says, Muna, when you I don't have money to buy your land. Say, don't worry, you pay me the little you can. Anytime you get, you pay me. Say, what, sure? The land is 50 million, she gives to you at what? 20 million. I said, you pay slowly as you can. It doesn't put you on pressure. That is the way you tell a blessing from God. The Bible says, when a blessing comes from God, it does not add sorrow in it. So you pay slowly every month until you finish. And she's also very happy. No. For her, she may have also gotten it some other way. But when he gives it to you, it is a choice. She could have even decided to give you free. But she tells you, pay as you can. An unexplained inheritance comes to you. A sponsorship program for father studies without toiling for it. You get appointed to a well-paying job. You get special favors, lineage to you by the school administration for your children. They just help all the others. Yours, they are not what? For you, we trust you, pay as you can. You get a bursary or sponsorship. You and your family do not get sick quite often. How many of you know that is a blessing? You never get sick quite what? Often. You are in health. You are saved from that expenditure. Your marriage and family are happy. It will go well with you in life. That is one of God's blessings. You are always walking with your husband or your wife in your life. That's a big blessing from God. And you have a piece of what? Mind. You are satisfied and you are content. This is a blessing. Look at a cheating employer. I want to end with a cheating employer. Now, this one doesn't apply to many of you here because you don't set the salaries to you. It is set by the what? Public service. None of you set. But maybe you have your small garden in the village, your farm, or what. So here I'm taking somebody who has a factory. The same contractual basis, he has 200 employees. They are working every day for supposed to be paying them 300,000, cheats them and pays half. If you do this, 200 employees for 30 years, cheating them every year is 360 million per year. The fact that for 30 years, this is what you accumulate as what? Who is going to pay for all that? Yeah? To the third and what? Fourth generation. Remember when you cheat? When you cheat, how do you give and it shall be given to you? Remember? A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. How do you get paid? A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. You keep cheating, you'll be cheated. I was in England in 1996 teaching for a month in a certain conference, and I talked about this. There was a lady called Grace Matatu. She was coming from Zimbabwe. Her father was a chief, and she was doing masters in UK, but also teaching. She was finishing her masters. She had done her masters for many years, all the time we had to repeat, and still try to teaching in secondary school. And she told me the money I get is enough for me to get a house and a mortgage to pay for it because I get good money. But I never see it. I've been engaged to this young man, he was called Maxi, he was a Caribbean. We have wanted to get married for 5 years. Every time we want to get married, something happens. So I really don't understand. Now, one day she was attending teaching. And I explained a scripture in Malachi chapter 3 verse 5 where God says that if you cheat your laborers, people who cannot fight for themselves, I myself, the Lord, will be the witness against you. I will be a witness against you because of the people you've cheated who have nowhere to run. So she listened to that and made out my teaching that day. And then I told the people, tomorrow, I'm coming back to build on that. So tonight, before you go to sleep, kneel by your bed, ask God if anything that I've taught affects you or applies to you in any way. So she obeyed what I said. Simple prayer. She knelt down. Said, Lord, if all that was taught today, if there's anything that applies in my life, why am I having all this problem? Please show me. So she slept, woke up in the morning, she had dreamt. She came back and told me, I am a daughter of a chief. We are 8 daughters. I am the youngest. This Grace Matatu was a very, very beautiful lady. She said, my sisters are equally beautiful like me. She said, we are all educated, masters and PhDs, but none of us is married. All our marriages fail. But we are always having problems. Some 2 are in America, other 2 are in Germany, they are all over the world. But they are struggling financially. Their marriages fail. And she said, when I woke up in the night, I saw a man. I've forgotten the man, he told me the name, but I couldn't remember the name, but I recall the man named Pascal. So I saw the man called Pascal, who worked for us. When we were young, when we were growing up, this man was from Malawi. He came and worked for our father in our biggest state, was a manager. And our father promised Pascal that if you serve me faithfully, you will marry one of my daughters. Yeah. He was also an educated man, he wasn't very now the guy was very, very, very happy, marrying a chief. This man was a well-thinking, well-fed. He worked with all his heart. Later on, he realized this man was lying what? To him. And he lied to him until he died. Being a foreigner, he wasn't even taken back. He was buried, he had problems in their country. He was buried in a city cemetery. Now, during his life, because these girls heard what their father said and they knew he was lying, they would always say, "Oh, look from there, Pascal." So it was always a joke. Who is going to marry Pascal? You, so it was a kind of a joke they used to have. So now, in the night, she dreams Pascal standing and pointing at her, very, very, very annoyed. She said, when I woke up, I immediately knew what God was saying. That my father's cheating of Pascal is what is affecting my what? She said, I've had Maxi, we can never get married. There was always something that rises up. All my money, I get it with the right hand and I lose it with my left hand. My problem financially have been chronic. There have always been something that steals my money, which I never understand. And this is applied to all my sisters. Our father died a long time ago, but this is what happens. Now I prayed, of course, for her, and shortly after that, we repent, and let her to repent on behalf of our father, and we broke that curse. We have power to break those curses. Because the Bible says in Galatians chapter 3, verse 13 and 14, that Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, having become a curse for us on the cross. Because it had been written earlier that cursed is everyone who hangs on the tree, so that the blessing may come upon us. Gentiles who did no good, we can also get the blessing by breaking that curse. So I prayed for her, and after a few months, got married. Problem, and then have financial problems as well. I wanted to ask you, do you think you have any Pascal in your family? Ask your neighbor, do you think there could be a Pascal? And you say, oh, your salary for June is gone. This girl can't go to NOC, can't go to court, so she's oppressed like that. We have so many people like that in our lives. Even our parents used to do that. Okay? So, children suffer the consequences. There was another one called Chizula, who was coming from Lemezi. And he was always cheated. He had a computer company, and he was always cheated. Schools would tell him at that time when he was starting, we are going to charge students 20,000 for computer classes. The school will take 10,000, you take 10,000. Now because so many students were coming into these classes, so much money would accrue to him, but the school would never pay him. You can imagine how many students, and they would go to court, and as he's about to win the case, something would always happen, and he would lose the case. And happened. So one time he came and wanted to say, what is happening? I asked him, how about, tell me about your background, your father. Did your father keep cheating the other people? He said, how, my father? When we were growing up, everybody in the village from the whole sub-county knew him. He would sell you land and he would change his mind. He said, one time I was standing with him and somebody came with an argument and said, you only paid me this, you still owe me this amount. He said, how? Let me see. And then he brought him and he chewed the argument when he was just watching. He said, I saw my father chewing what? The argument when he was watching. Every week there was somebody who was quarreling, who had been cheated. He cheated the laborers, he cheated this. So he was always a cheat. And he said, tell me about yourself and then your brother. He said, all of us are like that. We are all struggling. He said, in fact, recently, my wife was taken from me. She's the first woman I ever slept with. I loved her with all my heart. A soldier who is my neighbor would come, park by my house, and hoot. And my wife would go leave when I'm watching and go. He continued on for 6 months, and the last day he came and I would watch her sitting this man and drove off. And he went with her. He said, I got mad. I loved my wife. I even wanted to kill this soldier if I could. He said, I never thought about witchcraft, but I wanted to go get a powerful witch doctor to which his sexual parts so that they would. I couldn't do anything. I almost ran mad for 6 months. Now, remember, do you have any Pascal? Some of these Pascal issues, I'm saying, are real in our what? In our lives. Okay? So don't cheat people. If it is in your power to do good. If it is in your power to bless this nation, bless it while you're here. Even if you don't reap all the good, your children will do what? You will leave a powerful legacy for your children. Any office where you are, any station where you are. If drugs come through you, drug what? Authority. If drugs are supposed to be distributed, put it, set it in time. Everybody who dies because you withheld, that blood is on your water. Yes. Blood doesn't come only by direct murder. But where you have power to save life, and you don't, before God you've murdered. So avoid anything that will bring people's blood on your hands. And I'm going to pray for you before I close this session, that any blood that is on you, may God forgive and break that curse. Let's read this together. So I'll come near to you for judgment. I'll be quick to testify against sorcerers, adulterers, and perjurers, against those who defraud laborers of their wages, who oppress the widows and the fatherless, and deprive aliens of justice. But do not fear me, says the Lord. Another one. Now listen, you rich people, weep and wail because of the misery that is coming upon you. Your wealth has rotted and moths have eaten your clothes. Your gold and silver corroded. Their corrosion will testify against you, and you eat your flesh like fire. You have hoarded wealth in the last days. Look, the wages you failed to pay. The workmen who mowed your fields are crying out against you. The cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. You have lived on earth in luxury and self-indulgence. You have fattened yourselves in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and murdered innocent. Now this is what, when you are in power, when you have power to do good to the poor, to the people who have no ability, and you don't, this is what happens. Summary, let's read this together. 1, 2, 3, go. Sustainable economic and social transformation is only possible if there is a strong moral transformation. This is what our nation is. This is what we have to work for. And let me end with this. Poverty of the nation comes when we have a poor worker ethic. If, for instance, this hotel has 400 workers and they are all cheating, they are only doing half what they should do, can the owner get the money that they anticipated to get? If it's a factory, if it's a company or business, if workers in government are cheating, the bosses are cheating, the employees are cheating, the companies are cheating, everybody knows here that in Uganda, especially here in Kampala, I don't know, in Entebbe, I don't know, in fact, even in our country, all hotel owners have hired Kenyans to man their own. Are you aware of that? Yes. Every hotel is manned by what? Yes. I asked one day, one of them actually was this current museum work, I said, why do you hire Kenyans who have Ugandans who have studied hotel management? He said, where you put one Kenyan, you need 6 Ugandans. It shocked me. So when we talk about unemployment, we talk about this, because of poor work, if people look for jobs, they don't look for work. Work is everywhere. But they keep looking for what? For jobs. Work is everywhere. Everywhere in the world there is work. People don't want to work. They only want jobs because they have security of a salary. Yet work, anywhere you work, money comes to you. This is what we have to change. This cheating, where you are paid but you are not working, it accumulates. So you look at this whole as if it is Uganda. If you were God and you are looking from above, and everybody is cheating. And based on what I've shared, you see the debt that is holding on our nation. When God looks from above, you have a cheating nation, a stealing nation, with no work, with cheating. That is what keeps the nation in poverty. The nations don't have any resources like you have. They're wealthy because they have proper work ethics. Singapore is one of them. Nothing, they have nothing. We are better than them 30 years ago, 50 years, 40 years ago. But you see, when the work ethic is not changed, even the little money that you get is squandered. Somebody was telling me the other day, our national budget, only about 30% really does what it's supposed to do. So you can see how wicked we are as a nation. So this is something that we can change here in Ministry of Health. How many of you agree with me? That we can change that in Ministry of Health. And we can become a ministry where everybody looks to. Now let us stand up and pray. I'm going to end this session with a prayer. I didn't say this to really criticize you or to condemn you. I know you didn't know this. That's why I'm bringing it. I want you to be genuine before. And you say, Lord, there's certain things I was doing I didn't know. Like coming late, having work which I'm supposed to do in a week and I take 2 months. I'm supposed to do it in 1 month and I take 3 months. You're cheating. But you didn't know. And the Bible says the times of ignorance God winked at. But now He commands people everywhere to repent. And that's the repentance that I want us to go into. In a few minutes, just ask God, Lord, forgive me for what I've been doing. And anything that has accrued from my lineage, those Pascals who are always claiming my money, I get it with my right hand and I use it with my left. Maybe you have a problematic car. Maybe you are the one who always suffers and have to go to Aga Khan. If we can go to God in repentance and say, Lord, give us a new beginning, as a team, as a ministry, give us a new beginning. Help us to be a model ministry where we are going to work, we come in time, we clear our desks, we become a model where other ministries will come and just say, what is happening to this place? Now let us start with that negative part. Just a minute or two, ask God inside you and say, Lord, forgive me what I've been doing or what I've not been doing. There are sins of commission and there are sins of commission. Commission is where you don't know what you're going to do. Commission is what you commit and do what you're not supposed to do. I'll give you evidence. You speak to